Hello everyone, this is Mr. Ahmed Al Qadri, and today we will start a new lesson. Our lesson for today is compounds and chemical change, and today we will talk about compounds. Okay, guys, we studied before that uh, element is a material that cannot be broken down into anything simpler by chemical reaction. And we study the periodic table of element. As you see in this picture right now, this is the periodic table of elements. So each element here represents, or each symbol represents an element. So here we have hydrogen, helium, carbon, as you see here, nitrogen, oxygen. So each symbol represent a specific one element. If we take two elements from the periodic table, for example, sodium metals and chlorine as a gas, and if we combine them together in a flash of heat and light, the sodium and the chlorine gas are changed. Only bits of table salt, also called sodium chloride, remain. So why are the properties of sodium chloride so different from the properties of the sodium metals and the chlorine gas? Sodium chloride forms from sodium and chlorine atoms. The joining of the atoms is what gives the sodium chloride new and different properties. So sodium chloride is an example of a compound. So a compound is formed by the combination of two or more elements. Also, that the compounds have properties different from their individual element. So, as for example, any combination between two or more elements from this periodic table is example of compound. So, for example, any two elements in this periodic table combined with each other we called as a compound. As example, the carbon dioxide, when the carbon and the oxygen combine with each other, give me the formula of CO2, that carbon dioxide, one carbon atom and two um, oxygen atom give me carbon dioxide. And the chemical formula of water, I know that hydrogen combined with oxygen, this is another compound, H2O. I need two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, it gives me H2O. So this is another example of a compound. We have a lots and lots of compound. We will learn about it later. But a compound is formed by the combination of two or more elements. Okay, this is, for example, forming a compound. If we put sodium with chlorine, it will give me the table salt or sodium chloride, as you see in this picture. Okay guys, right now we want to talk about the names and formulas for a compound. Have you ever left a metal spoon out in the rain and come back later to find it covered with rust, as you see in this picture here? So rust is a compound formed when iron in the spoon or in any metals object, combines with oxygen in the air. So the combination between iron and oxygen form rust. So all compounds have chemical names and many have common names as well. The chemical names indicate which elements make up the compound. The chemical names for the rust is iron oxide. Okay, so as you see here, iron oxide, this is the name of the rust. So chemical names use the names of the element. Often the second element has the last part of its name changed slightly. So you can see this change in iron oxide and sodium chloride. There is the change in the last element and the last part of the second name. Okay, and the formula, the chemical formula for the rust is Fe2O3. Here the Fe represents the iron and O represents the oxygen. So I need two atoms of iron instead. I for and for the compound, the rust compound, I need and three atoms of oxygens. Okay, guys, sometimes we use prefixes to indicate the number of atoms in a compound. For example, we use mon, meaning one, di or bi, we meaning two, and tri, meaning three. So, carbon dioxide is a gas with one carbon atoms for every two oxygen atoms, as examples. So, compounds have chemical formulas just like the elements you've learned about. Compounds, however, have more than one elemental symbol because they are made from more than one kind of element. So, for example, in the chemical formula for iron oxide is Fe2O3 or iron oxide. So I have this formula tells us that two iron atoms combine with three oxygen atoms to form iron rust. Another example here, the fructose. So to form a fructose is the sugar in the fruit. The fructose is the sugar inside the fruits. So, or fruit sugar, six carbon atoms I need, 12 hydrogen atoms, and six oxygen atoms combined with each other. This is the formula of the fructose as you see in this picture, C6H12O6.